Retro.
Yeah.
Electro. Tech.
Oh yeah.
Hey, turn the lights back on. Wow. Retro electro tech. When real audio ruled the world.
Well, hello there everyone. I hope everybody is well. This is Retro Ernest of Retro Electro Tech. And here on the bench is a Marantz model 2285B as in Bravo. And this came in with a channel issue. I have it listed on the tag and on the intake receipt because it's been a little while that's been sitting here as a diminished / intermittent audio complaint. So we'll start with the obligatory. I'll do a exterior look over, check the fuse around back, just take a look at things, pop the hood, take a look inside, see if there's anything that raises a red flag visually. And then eventually we'll get to the safe power up, pipe in a signal, take a look at the scope, see if we do have a dead channel, diminished channel, an intermittent channel, whatever the case. And if so, we'll see if that's influenced by dirty controls and all that jazz. Or something else, of course. So anyways, let's get cracking. And here we are around back for the rear end exam, and I'm not talking proctology terms, but everything is looking good. Nothing looks banged up, dented, busted, disgusted. Everything's nice. So anyways, let me switch camera angles and I will check the fuse real quick, pop the hood, and we'll go from there. Alright, let me see what we have on board. Should have a 5-amp fuse. And I would imagine we do. Yeah, it absolutely looks like it's intact, the element, but as usual, let me check it out real quick and just make sure. Yeah. All right. All right, let me give myself a hernia and spin it back around and then pop the hood. All right, and here's our bird's eye view. So from what I can see, everything looks good. In fact, it's not that dirty in here, so looking good. Of course, upon closer inspection, I might find something different, but from what I can see, everything looks pretty good. And yeah, and I'll keep this brief too, because this isn't going to be exciting for those of you who are watching. Not that any of this ever is exciting. I just get my light in here a little bit, just so I can kind of focus in a little bit better. Checking out the tuner section and all that, and yeah, nothing looks discolored, charred, no bulging caps. I don't see anything leaking. Peek around here. Yeah, from what I can see, everything looks okay. Obviously, if I have to get into gaining access and pulling some things out and all that, I'll take a closer look at stuff, of course, as I go in here doing some work. So enough of this. Let me go ahead. Nothing looks alarming on the top side. Let me go ahead and flip it over and we'll look at the bottom side and then go into the safe power up. All right, and here we are looking at the under regions. So once again, everything is looking good. I don't see anything alarming. All the wiring looks nice. The back of the boards look good. I don't see anything on the back of the boards that stands out. Our two bridge rectifiers, bottom of our main filters, control board, and all that stuff. So yeah, everything's looking good. Okay, let me and I'll just kind of pan down for you all, just kind of give you an overview. Okay, so you can see what the belly looks like. Everything's looking good. Okay, so let me start prepping for a safe power up, and I will be right back. Okay, and also too, for those of you interested in this sort of thing, we have all the original output transistors, Marantz branded 2SB 557s, and the 2SD 427s along the bottom there. Yeah, nice beefy heat sink, that's for sure. A nicely made unit. So anyways, let's go ahead and move on. Alright, so I'm ready for that safe power up. You can see the box with the 3 bulbs. There's 3 switches on the side. That's a current limiter, also referred to as a dim bulb tester. What that does is just that. It limits the current to our receiver here, our device under test. And the reason why we want to limit that current is because if something tries to go wrong, then we want to limit current in the same way that we want to limit the oxygen and material so that a forest fire can't burn out of control. In other words, it needs fuel to burn, right? Well, this would need fuel to fail, i.e. it wants to draw heavy current. So we're limiting that current, we're starving it of current in a controlled manner. So that's it. Actually, let me just pan back up here and just keep an eye on the center bulb, and I'm going to power it up. The bulb should initially glow bright as the filter capacitors, you know, the big caps in there, these here. All right. As these come up to charge, they're going to draw current. So that's why the bulb is going to go bright, and then once they charge up, the bulb should dim back down, and it should sustain at a nice dim level. It shouldn't be flickering or trying to come back up or whatever. So anyways, let me go ahead and hit the power button, and also to listen out for the click of the protection relay coming in, because we want that. All right. Okay, and there was our click, and you saw the bulb go bright and then dim back down. So what I'm going to do is sit here for a while and just monitor things and let it sit on the current limiter. Give us some time for, you know, caps to kind of reform and all that, and just let it sit, see what it's going to do. And then when I come back, I'll have a signal in it. We'll look at the scope, see whether or not we have both channels, the characteristics of the waveforms on those channels. Okay, so I'll be right back. Alright, it's done very well on the current limiter. I had it on there for probably about at least 45 minutes. The bulb remained very dim, rock solid, no little flickers, fluctuations, or anything. So it's off the current limiter now. And also too, around back, I checked the speaker terminals for any DC, and everything is absolutely perfect there. It's very close to zero, and that's where we want it. For those that are unaware of that, why we check to see if there's DC voltage on the speaker terminals. Well, we don't want that, and there's always going to be a little bit, and that's okay, but it should be as close to 0 volts as possible DC. If the DC voltage levels get too high, then it will cause problems and ultimately damage your speakers, heat up the voice coils, and burn them up. So everything is looking good there. So like I said, it's off the current limiter. I'm going to direct the camera to the oscilloscope display, and we'll look at the waveforms and go from there, and I'll start messing around with the controls and see what we have. Okay, so let me bring up the volume. You can see we have both channels. On that note, okay, so that's good. We have both channels. When I first messed with the volume control, which is the only control I've messed with so far, there was some noise there. You can see the static on the waveform. You can see a little bit of jitteriness and all that. But as I exercised it a little bit, dry meaning, of course, pre-cleaning, I haven't injected any contact cleaner or anything. I haven't exercise the control vigorously, just a little bit, just to clear it up enough. So I bring that up because just like the last time with the Sansui 6, about a couple videos back, same thing. When I first piped a signal in and brought up the volume, it was very intermittent, very staticky. That one was worse than this one. This one wasn't too bad. This was a little bit dirty, and a little bit intermittent, but once I started working it dry, I cleared it up enough to continue with my testing that you see here. So sometimes you can get by with just exercising the controls dry good enough to move forward with the monitoring of your waveforms and all that. Unless the control is really bad, really filthy, or otherwise defective, there's something going on and it's kind of past that point of no return, then you're not going to be able to clear it up, clear up the controls without injecting cleaner and working them and working them and working them and injecting more cleaner and working them. In other words, doing a good thorough multi-flush type of cleaning. Or better yet, if budget permits, time permits, and controls permit, you can get inside and clean them, by opening them up and getting in there with a swab and some solvent and cleaning the resistive tracks, the wiper contacts and all that, like I've explained before. So that's what I wanted to bring up. But in regard to this volume control, one thing I do want to mention is that there's a dead spot with this volume control. And let me just demonstrate it real quick. I'm going to rotate the control. I'm going to try to do it as smooth as possible without getting all shaky and all that. And you'll notice a point at which there's a pause in the rise of amplitude, and then it kicks in again and the amplitude goes up, okay, as I'm rotating it. The pause is not me stopping, okay, but just take note of it. Boom, and then it kicks in again, okay? Again, that wasn't me stopping. There's a dead spot in this pot. I don't know if it's something that I'm going to be able to resolve by, performing a multi-flush cleaning. I kind of don't think so. I think there's something going on, a problem with the, resistive track or something. So we'll see once I get into servicing the controls if the customer wants me to move forward with that. So real quick, because I want to keep this section as brief as possible, I'm going to go through and just mess with some of the controls. Here's our balance control. Let me kick up the volume a little bit more. Here's our balance control. And you can see all the nastiness. This balance control is pretty bad. In fact, let me see here. Yeah, this volume control needs some servicing pretty badly. All right. And then here's our treble control. Let me see. Let me mess with our... And I'm just going to do this real quick. Yeah, you can see a little bit dirty, not too horrible. Our mid, bass, a little bouncy, nothing too horrible. And our tone mode switch. There's a problem with this tone mode switch in that, aside from a little bit of noise in there, if I rotate it kind of past its stop points from end to end, the pot itself kind of keeps moving. It's like the pot internally is loose. There's something going on. So I'm going to have to check that out. But anyways, and then here's our mode selector. Mode selector is a little bit dirty as well. Not too bad, but yeah, a little bit. There's our FM signal, and you can see we have it's trying to pull into station there, so that's working. And I'll get into that a little bit more as I check things over a little bit more. Back to our auxiliary and our sine wave. So there you go. The controls are going to need some servicing. And I'm going to get with the customer on that, but otherwise we have our channels. But let me do a few more things here. All right, so I have a sweep signal piped into the amp from 20 hertz to 20K, and everything is looking very good. It's behaving very linearly, which means we don't want to see the amplitudes of those waveforms deviating at all. We want them to maintain their amplitude, their symmetry. We don't want to see any expansion, any significant expansion or contraction in that amplitude. So everything is looking really good, and that's the sign of a good amp. So there we go. All right, now real quick, let's see what this thing is putting out as it sits, and let me go ahead and bring up our volume. Let's get to clipping. I have both channels stacked on top of each other. You can see they're nice and symmetrical. Let me get it up to clipping. Let's back off slightly here. Okay, so this 85 watt unit is putting out 100.9 watts into 8 ohms, so it's doing pretty good, I would say. All right, everyone, so I'm going to keep monitoring things. I'm going to keep this unit running at cruising altitude and just keep monitoring things, because that's the only way I'm going to know for sure if this thing's going to start misbehaving. As of right now, everything is fine, and I've been monitoring this thing off and on for a bit, in between rolling the bits of video footage that you guys are watching, and everything's holding steady. I'm going to talk to the customer about the controls, of course. I don't know yet if I'm going to have to replace that volume pot. There's a good possibility I may, because of that dead spot, if I can't get it resolved with really fleshing it out, or if I could get into it and see what I can do. We'll see. But anyways, if there's a part 2, I certainly will get into it. But otherwise, I'll talk to the customer and see what he wants to do, how far he wants to go, and we'll go from there. So I have a feeling there probably will be a part 2 as I go into servicing it a bit more. But I'm going to cut it here for now. This was a good evaluation. It told me what I needed to know about what this receiver's doing, not doing, what the amp's doing, not doing, as far as dead channel issue, whatever. As of right now, it's okay. But again, if anything happens and there's a part 2, I will come back and fill everybody in. Otherwise, as I always say, guys, peace, love, music, and the vintage audio that brings it to your ears. Till next time, y'all take care.
This has been a Spinning Head production.
Hehehehe